how to pick a great attorney and how much can it cost you to pick a bad attorney. And when I'm talking about great and bad, I'm exaggerating. There's also the gray area attorneys. But let's define what great attorney is. A great attorney is the type of attorney who knows exactly the law on the highest level of expertise. So when you're talking to an attorney in family law, I assume you will be picking the best of the best, meaning family law specialist. Specialist is someone who passed not only the bar exam, but also the bar exam for family law, which is a one-day exam, and it requires moral character passing. It requires approval from 5 other attorneys. Approval meaning a letter that says, yes, I have worked with this attorney. And in order to take that family law specialist exam, that attorney needs to have a significant trial experience and practiced at least for 5 years in that field. So we're talking about the family law specialist who understands the law and who has good reviews. I don't trust when someone is practicing for 30 years and has no social media profile. Nowadays, a great attorney is also an attorney who knows business, who knows how to think like a business person, because academically, if the attorney is great, that attorney might know the law, but will not tell you cost-benefit analysis, will not think like a business person with you, meaning they will not advise you to say, look, if you fight this, it's going to cost you $300,000. But if we reach agreements on these 2 issues and fight only this issue, then it will cost you $20,000. So academics is not enough. Business and academics is already a better choice. So social profile, great reviews. And when I say great reviews, I'm not talking about all reviews should be 5. No. A real attorney would have some unhappy clients. Let's imagine 1,000 people a doctor helped or attorney helped. There will be always someone who doesn't trust anyone, who doesn't like anyone, and that person is usually going to be the one leaving bad review. It's impossible to make everyone happy. So I wouldn't say to pick an attorney with 3.2 stars of 100 reviews. I would rather have you pick an attorney 4.9, 4.8 of more than 30 reviews, depending on the years of practice. Sometimes you have to go to Yelp and see how much Yelp filters. Sometimes Yelp filters out 70% of all reviews. So if you look and click filtered reviews, you will be able to see way more reviews. For whatever algorithm reason, some people place a review in a different country, or they place it here and they move, they never use Yelp, but they're legitimate clients. So there are all kinds of reasons why Yelp removes them, but they are legitimate reviews. Anyway, so Google Yelp Avvo, AVVO.com is another platform where people leave their reviews and you can look at the profile. I mean, if the lawyer doesn't have a picture, if a lawyer doesn't have a social media profile, at least a video or a blog article or reviews, I don't care if they're a family law specialist. I think that's, to me, would be a red flag. Word of mouth could be another way, but be careful. When someone recommends an attorney and they had an uncontested case and that lawyer did well, it doesn't mean that in your case, where it involves domestic violence, venture capital, bunch of other issues, spousal support, child support, it doesn't mean that lawyer will be good for you. Also, what are the red flags of an attorney? It's tough to know when you're interviewing an attorney, so that's where reviews are helpful. Responsive rate. If an attorney doesn't respond to you for a week, run. An attorney should be responding to your emails within 1 to 2 business days. I don't care how busy they are. If they're too busy, they shouldn't be taking your case. Number 2, hard to schedule a meeting, not reachable. Technically, all-in-one responsiveness, availability, too much of a caseload. How do you feel after the first conversation? Is this attorney selling too much on empathy for you to file a restraining order? It feels good when someone understands you, but another thing is there is a gray area when someone understands you and feeds off your pain to use it in court. And that's dangerous. A good attorney will keep emotions out of it and refer you to a good psychiatrist or psychologist or therapist and focus not only, of course, empathy is important, but focus how it would benefit you and from all angles, not just go for it. Let's file a restraining order no matter what, even if I am not convinced about your story and I'm not going to admit. An attorney would admit when the story has some problems. A great attorney will advise you about the strength and the weaknesses of the case, not just the strength, but the weaknesses, and advise you about consequences. Let me tell you a little bit of a gray area. I was working with one associate and we went to a domestic violence restraining order trial. My client took a child to a different state, legitimately so because she was afraid of her husband and she ran. She filed it in California, in one of the Bay Area counties, but she was living already in a different state. And I decided to show up in trial and see how my associate was doing. And it was not going so. A typical attorney who is going to a domestic violence restraining order trial would go and win this. But a great attorney would tell the client the price of winning. So what I did is I told my client the price of winning. I told her that if she wins, then the court will grant her restraining order, but the court would also ask her to come back because she's not supposed to be in a different. She was fleeing the county and the state. She was not allowed to do that, although there was no restraining order in place, no temporary restraining order in place. So the other lawyer took me to the side and was like, "What are you doing? It's malpractice. If we drop the restraining order," and I didn't say drop, I reached an agreement where the same terms would apply as in a restraining order, but it would be not CLETS, and she could stay in her county. She would get sole custody. She would get he would get the visitation that he otherwise would have gotten in domestic violence restraining order case. Basically, I took the trial off the table, made a stipulation, an agreement that fit her needs without forcing her to come back to California. And I told that young lawyer, you know what? It would be malpractice not to tell the client the price of winning too. And so when I told my client the price of winning, she decided not to go with domestic violence restraining order trial. It's a double-edged sword. You gotta know all angles of winning. So a great attorney would give you a whole picture. Now, what can you expect of a not great attorney is the opposite of that. Is non-responsiveness, not receiving your invoices. For example, a great attorney will send you invoices every month. I send it every week. I don't think I have met any attorney who did that. But at least once a month, an attorney who is not organized is not going to send you every month. You just pay the retainer and always wonder how much is still remaining. And then they ask you to replenish, but they never send you the bill. Transparency is number one key in trust. So when an attorney provides transparency, BBCs you in every communication, meets the deadline. If an attorney tells you, I will do it tomorrow, and you don't get it tomorrow, and the attorney doesn't tell you why not, sometimes things happen and you have to follow up and say, wait, you told me tomorrow, but you didn't do it, run. Because what happens is if you go to trial, that attorney will miss the deadline to file motions or to file something, and it's going to be you last minute looking for a new attorney. You last minute doubting your own confidence and strength of your case. I'm telling you this because I have seen it. I even worked with attorneys like that, and unfortunately, it does exist, and I was also blindsided at times. And when I see it all now, I can tell you what to look for because You weren't. Now you know what I'm telling you is going to be exaggerated at the time when you least expect it. So don't close your eyes when things like that starting to pile up. It doesn't define the greatness of an attorney if the attorney doesn't get you all the results that you want. For example, you don't want to pay spousal support, but California law requires you to pay spousal support. Well, a great attorney will not be able to eliminate community property law. I had clients who had very unreasonable expectations, meaning they didn't want to pay spousal support when they made $1 million and the other side didn't make anything, and let's pretend that the other spouse is making X amount of dollars. They still didn't want to pay. I had clients fire me because they had to pay spousal support. Okay, that happens. So reasonable expectations, that's why an attorney from the beginning also choosing a client wisely. And looking back, I had clients who from the beginning, I knew they're not going to follow community property law, California law, and I probably should not have taken them as a client because some clients just don't understand the concept, and no matter how many times I say it, they don't want to understand. They think a great attorney, just because they pay money, will get them out of California property law. So that's not a definition of a great attorney. A great attorney is an attorney who will present your case within the California law structure in the best light possible to get better outcome where there is a gray area, to find the right law, to defend you, to pay potentially less or get more custody, to shine light into the story the way that presents the case in the best light. Pick the right experts, pick the right psychologists, CPAs, disqualify a judge if, for example, I know if I take this case and I go to this judge, I'm going to get absolutely this result because this judge is one lane and only one lane. So I disqualify the judge within 10 days upon assigning to another judge. So strategizing within the parameters of knowledge and expertise. All right, I hope that was helpful. If I still have something that I didn't mention, ask the question down in the comment section below, and I'll see you in my next consultation. Bye!